Welcome to Elim Park's Chef's Table. I'm Executive Chef Tony Camilleri, and today we're going to be doing a variety of Thanksgiving recipes for you to learn. And we're going to start off with a great turkey brine that we'll walk you through, as well as homemade cranberry sauce with fresh orange and ginger. And then we are going to make everybody's favorite turkey gravy with homemade drippings from the roast turkey itself. And I've got a creative little idea for you at the end, which will be to use those leftovers, making a roasted turkey Carnitas Burrito. And we'll take it all through step by step. All right, so for our first Thanksgiving recipe for today, we're gonna start off with a basic turkey brine. You know, adding your turkey the day before you wanna roast it to the brine incorporates a lot of extra juiciness to it. Make sure you, even if you cook it a little longer, it should hopefully stay pretty dry. So basic brine proportions of 1 gallon of water to 1 cup of salt. And you wanna get that going in your pot so you can go ahead and bring that all to a boil. After that, it's kind of an open field. You can add any kind of spices and aromatics. Ours today, we're gonna add some brown sugar, some pink peppercorns, floral kind of flavor to them, some brown sugar for a little bit of sweetness. We have some chili powder. Get a little spice in there. Always got to have a little bit of fresh garlic ahead in your brine. Add some nice flavor in the background also. And then we have to add fresh herbs. I love to add the nice fall winter herbs, you know, the first one being sage. You want to go ahead and rip the leaves up a little bit. It just helps them kind of incorporate better into the liquid or the brine that you're going to make. Same thing with the rosemary. You want to just kind of bruise them up a little bit. You can chop them if you'd like, no big deal. And we'll finish off with a little bit of fresh thyme. And then a little bit of apple cider I like to put in there for sweetness. Local is always better. Try to get as much local here at Elim Park as we can. So you'll add that in and you'll bring this whole thing to a boil. And you can see how everything's starting to melt together as it heats up. So once your brine has hit a boil like that, you probably wanna let it go for about 3 to 5 minutes before you go ahead and take it off the heat. And then you're gonna wanna make sure you cool that brine off completely before you go ahead and you want to take it and put it into a bucket about this size. Then you can put your turkey in it, pour your brine over. At that point, you just leave it overnight somewhere cold. The next day, you want to take your turkey out of it and then you'll pat it dry. As far as seasoning goes, I like to add a spice called Old Bay. It's got a lot of different spices mixed into it, but you do the Old Bay. And you always want to make sure you rub on the inside of the bird too. You know, always make sure you take out the neck and everything from the inside of the turkey. I've seen people not do that, but get a nice coating on there. And remember, it's gonna flavor the meat as it cooks. And after having the turkey in the brine, it's pulled in a lot of that flavor and a lot of the aromatics into the actual meat. So while you're roasting it, it'll also help prevent you from having a dry turkey. It'll help keep it extra moist. So, and then you wanna go ahead and cook your bird. All right, so for our next Thanksgiving recipe, we are gonna make a fresh cranberry sauce. So to start your fresh cranberry sauce, you want to go ahead and get your fresh cranberries into a saute pan there. You want to get it going pretty much on medium to high heat. You want to get that little bit of sizzle. You want to hear that. So you'll kind of start to blister the skins on the cranberries, and that's what you're looking for. You can add a little pinch of salt to it because you got to have a little salt and everything to bring it out. We'll put some fresh cinnamon stick. Because the cranberries, especially fresh ones, are so tart, you want to have to add a little sweetness, so I like to add a little brown sugar to that just to combat that tartness of the cranberry. Then you go ahead and to help the cranberries sort of bring out some of their own juices, you add a little bit of apple cider to it. I like to add a little bit of fresh ginger, gives a nice little background aromatic. If you leave it in nice big pieces like that, it'll allow the flavor to incorporate into your cranberry sauce, but also at the same time, you'll be able to take it out so nobody gets a big piece of ginger. Another item I like to add for some seasonable freshness to it is a little bit of the fresh grated orange. And that adds a nice touch, along with a little bit of orange juice as well. And again, that just all helps with the sweetness to kind of combat that tartness that cranberries themselves have. So once you get everything going in your pan, you're gonna have to let this cook for a good 30 to 45 minutes. You want to keep it going on high to begin with. Start breaking down the skins of those cranberries. But as they start to break down and get soft, that's when you want to go ahead and turn it down low. It'll naturally get thick on its own as some of the apple cider and the orange juice kind of evaporates and cranberries soak up all that flavor and all the spices. this is a good base recipe for you to use. At that point, you can pretty much add anything you like. If you want it spicy, you could put some fresh jalapeno. If you wanted to make it a little bit more savory, any fresh herbs you like in there, sage, rosemary, all those would be great. You know, I like to put a little fresh sage in it, honestly. I think it just kind of goes well in the actual cranberry sauce. Once it's boiling good like this, you can go ahead and turn it down a little bit and just let it cook. But you'll see on some of these cranberries, all the skins are starting to blister already. That's them breaking down. That's what you're looking for. That's why you want to start it on high heat, because then they'll start to kind of incorporate, and that's when your cranberry sauce will start to get nice and thick for you. And then after that, your cranberry sauce will be ready to serve for your Thanksgiving meal. All right, so now here comes the fun part and everybody's favorite, which is the homemade gravy. So after your turkeys come out of the oven and it's rested and cooled off enough, you'll have all your nice pan drippings that you would have gone ahead and collected into a container. And you want to make sure you're always going to defat the grease layer that comes on the top. That way you can just use the actual drippings. So making the gravy is when you want to go ahead and add your pan drippings to your sauce pot. And you want to go ahead and reserve a little bit of it into a stainless steel bowl on the side. And I'm going to show you what that's for in a minute. We want to have maybe about a half a cup worth. The best part about the pan drippings is you see all those little bits and everything like that? That's all the tasty parts. You want to leave that in there. It's you're going to get so much more flavor from that. So while your pan drippings are starting to come to a boil, you want to add some fresh aromatics. Again, these are the same fresh combination, the sage, the fresh thyme, the rosemary that we've been using in a lot of these recipes, but they're really like the most seasonable aromatics at this time of year for fall. And then we're going to go ahead and thicken that with a little bit of rice flour for anybody that's gluten-free. Gives them a little treat, that way they can always have the gravy as well. So while that's coming to a boil, I'm going to show you the point of reserving a little bit of that pan drippings ahead of time was. So we're going to thicken this with the rice flour, which will keep it gluten-free. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit of that rice flour to our bowl and give that a little bit of a whisk. And that will start to form a nice paste almost. And the main purpose of this is a little kitchen trick that we all use in the professional kitchens. This will help prevent you from getting any lumps when you go ahead and make your gravy. So see how that's a little loose still? We're gonna add a little bit more in there. I just wanna tighten it up a little bit. Then I'll make sure you get it well incorporated in your bowl first. At that point, we will go ahead and add this to our pot that has our drippings in it. You see that's starting to get nice and hot. You don't need to bring it to a full boil. It just needs to not be chilled or cold anymore. It needs to probably be about 80% close to a boil. And then you'll slowly whisk in your rice flour mixture that you already made ahead of time. And we have the recipe for you with all the proportions, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, if you wanted to make extra gravy, like everybody always wants the extra, you can take your pan drippings and also add some, some homemade chicken stock or some collagen broth that you bought at the store, and that will also just give you a base to add more to it. I like to add a little bit of Worcestershire to mine, just a splash. It darkens it up a little bit. I feel like it adds a nice little background flavor to your gravy as well. And the important thing is you do want to keep this a nice slow whisk while it's waiting to get to a boil. It won't fully thicken until it boils, so that's why you want to just kind of keep that whisk on it. And all these fresh herbs that you've gone ahead and put in there, along with all the bits from the bottom of the pan you roasted your turkey in, completely up to you. You can leave that in, or you can strain it out to have a smoother gravy. Personally, I usually just take out all the herbs and leave all the bits in. And see, now that's starting to boil and really starting to thicken up a little bit. The rice flour also allows it to be a nice, kind of gives it a smoother consistency, unlike regular wheat flour. And then once it boils, you're pretty much good to go. That means the rice flour is fully incorporated and cooked out, and then you can go ahead and strain your gravy and be ready to serve. All right, so now for the fun part. Going ahead and carving the bird, and whoever has the honor, or maybe not so much, of doing that for the family. But as everybody knows, the turkey's just like a chicken. There's a huge breastbone that comes right down the middle, and then it V's off in the back. And the key to it is you just kind of want to get it started. so you can find that breastbone. And once you locate it right there in the center, you just want to gently follow it down all the way. And you want to keep your knife angled a little bit in that way, so you can kind of follow right along the bone and you don't miss any of your meat. And then you can gently just keep kind of going back and forth and kind of pulling the breast away as you follow it all the way down. And then you will come all the way down here to where you find the wing joint, and that's where you can take your whole breast and just kind of remove it from your bird. And that's how to get off your Thanksgiving Day turkey breast. All right, so now everybody's favorite part. What do we do with our Thanksgiving leftovers? And I don't know, myself personally, I think it's always better the next day anyway. So, not sure how many you know or not, but I've owned several restaurants over my career in the business. The last few being 2 different authentic Mexican restaurants that also happen to be gluten-free. And so this kind of inspired me to do what I'm gonna call a day after Thanksgiving turkey Carnitas Burrito. And we're gonna show you how to make that here next. All right, so here's the actual putting together of our day after Thanksgiving turkey Carnitas Burrito. And like I told you before, I had something special for you with the pan drippings that you had left. And that's what we're gonna start sauteing our onions and peppers in. All that beautiful flavor is gonna come out in this burrito, which is great. And don't worry about if those drippings get a little congealed in your refrigerator overnight. That way you can just take a few spoonfuls and it'll loosen right up as soon as you start sauteing it. You wanna get your onions and peppers going like I have right there. And then you go ahead and you get your leftover turkey meat in there. Now I wanna say a critical thing here. Do not forget some of that leftover skin. Get that down in the bottom of the pan, because that will also start to get nice and crispy and add some extra flavor as well. While that's all cooking and going nice, we're gonna start making our Carnitas burrito here with our cranberry aioli. So basically, you just wanna take some of your favorite mayonnaise and add some spicy peppers to it. I have some spicy chopped cherry peppers that I like, but it could be jalapenos, whatever your spicy pepper is, and of course, as hot or not as you wanna make it. But it's a really great starting base to kind of start layering in all the flavors that you're going to have in your burrito here. So you get a little bit of that cranberry down. And then of course, there's gonna be some stuffing left, right? And that's a lot of people's favorite anyway. And you get a little bit of your stuffing down as well. This happens to be a nice sausage stuffing. I know some people don't do the sausage, but growing up in an Italian household like mine, we, along with the lasagna and the pasta, we also had sausage stuffing all the time. Check our pan here where we have our onions and peppers going with our turkey meat, and that's starting to cook together nicely, as you can see. And one thing that I like to add to the pan just for that extra flavor and get some of that little bit more authentic Mexican flair to it is a little bit of, these are chipotle peppers. So chipotles are actually smoked jalapenos, and they come in the nice little cans, and they're nice and soft, and they come in a little bit of a adobo sauce that they're in. And this is just gonna add some nice flavor to your burrito. Too bad you can't smell that. You really smell that smokiness from the chipotles once it hits the heat. But that's definitely the key. All right, while that's finishing up, we're gonna take a little bit of our gravy that we had. You wanna put a little bit of your leftover gravy in the pan as well. Make sure you get that nice and incorporated. And don't worry about these extra pieces of chipotle in there. That's just gonna add to the whole dish, to be honest. Back to our flour tortilla, we have our stuffing, our aioli. You put a little bit of your favorite shredded cheese in, could be whatever. This happens to be a blend of Chihuahua and Oaxaca. Those are 2 Mexican cheeses. The Chihuahua is very much like a Mexican cheddar, and the Oaxaca is closer to a fresh mozzarella, but it's a little bit drier. And I think we're ready to go ahead and build our burrito. So now that you have your base layer down, you go ahead and put some of your turkey with your onions and peppers, and gotta get some of that chipotle in there. And of course, you've got to get a little bit of your skin in there too, because that's the best part. That's got all the seasoning on it. You know, the good thing about this basic kind of recipe is, you know, you could also make this for breakfast. Maybe eliminate the cranberry aioli, but add some scrambled eggs in there or a little bacon with it. And then just go ahead and wrap it up now. So you want to wrap it up, make sure you always tuck your ends when you roll your burrito. And make sure it's nice and tight. And then, so there you go. Your day after Thanksgiving Day turkey burrito.